Hi all, we're going to look at one of my games from the British Championship today. This was an instructive blunder from round 1. In that first week I had some missed opportunities, and this is one of the first missed opportunities I had. In this position my opponent had just played the move Queen B3, so seemingly putting pressure on my queen side and also D5 at the same time. It seems as though black may have a difficult position here because he's also got this ready-made attack on the king side with these pawns, quite dangerous. So, in this position, I thought I could get away with D takes C4. So, one of my ideas was bishop takes C4, I could play knight A5, collecting that light squared bishop. And Rivka seems to think this idea is perfectly okay. So knight takes, for example, queen takes, and now C6. So I would have gained the white squared bishop, and black would be actually slightly better, perhaps. So, in this position, he actually played queen takes B7. And I was also, in this line, I was just intending rook B8 and rook takes B2. So why didn't I play what I was originally intending, which would seem to be a perfectly logical idea, to sacrifice the B7 pawn in order to get a rook to the 7th rank. Even in the middle game, the rook on the 7th rank is very dangerous. So I played rook B8, and after queen takes C7, let's see here, if rook takes B2 immediately, then I didn't really like giving him the option of queen takes D7, but this is actually okay as well, king takes, and this is okay for black as well. In the game I took on C7, and after bishop takes C7, let's have a look at this position now. White's bishop on C7 is actually an unprotected piece, and one of the reasons I rejected rook takes B2 immediately here is I was looking at bishop takes C4 and I was thinking this is quite dangerous for me, because what do I do about bishop B5 coming next? And also I thought, well, does rook on 7th, it all depends really if that's any good, because actually maybe he's just got knight A4 as well, just simply evicting the rook the next move. Where would that rook go? The A2 pawn will be supported by the bishop. So, is this an academic rook on the 7th or a practical rook on the 7th? Well, there's a resource I missed in this position, which was basically the opportunity. When I took that B2 pawn, I'll let you see if you can find the resource. So, taking the B2 pawn knocks out the B2, which, what squares is that B pawn protecting? So that's a key question. So the position's changed slightly in that A3 and C3 would be weakened. So can you see a key move in this rook takes B2 line, bishop takes C4, in this position? I'll give you 5 seconds to see if you can spot a key move which changes the whole perspective on getting this rook to the 7th rank here. So 5 seconds starting from now. The move I missed was actually bishop A3, and all of a sudden, white has several unprotected pieces here. In fact, this knight is also unprotected, except, well, if the rook moved. But these three are unprotected. So with bishop A3, there's an indirect threat to play bishop takes C1 if the rook moves. So how does black handle this seemingly, not that dangerous move, bishop A3? The thing is, it is very dangerous because now knight A4, and we can see that this unprotected piece here can be exploited with rook B7. So here, if white moves the rook, then bishop takes, and if this bishop is attacked, then bishop B4. So this would be no good. Knight A4 is no good here. So, okay, let's try rook D1. Here we see the power of the rook on the 7th coming into its own with rook C2, and these two pieces are now on the skewering line. Let's see bishop B5, just rook takes C3, so defending that knight. So that's no good. So in this position, actually black is doing very well. Let's have a look at the main Ribka variation. So H5, bishop h7, and now knight g2. So here we've got these two unprotected pieces. So let's have a look first at rook b7, if that's any good. Bishop f4 is given, so it really, is winning the exchange according to rib curve. So if bishop f4 has to be played, bishop takes, knight takes, and again, either rook b2 or actually maybe even just knight b4, just trying to get use of this d5 square. So black would be better. So okay, so there's this question, sometimes in your own games, is this rook to the 7th going to be academic, or is that actually going to be practically effective? And the difference here is perhaps because white has all these unprotected pieces, and this bishop a3 idea kind of opens up the opportunity to exploit them. So in this particular position, I'd incorrectly rejected just the simple looking rook takes b2 move because of fears of bishop takes c4. And actually in a later round the same kind of opportunity occurred, that I rejected a rook move to the 7th rank because of some other tactical variation which I thought was winning material for the opponent. And here is the instructive point I want to make with this video. Sometimes you have to fight to play seemingly simple positional moves, because if you can find the one critical resource which makes the simple move possible, then you're gaining that strategic trump card, and along with that all the tactical implications of that strategic trump card. So here the strategic trump card is getting the rook on the 7th, and once it's there, the rook dare not move because of rook c2, and also these unprotected pieces made it an effective rook on the 7th. It couldn't be easily chased away with knight a4 because of the rook b7, as we saw. So here I played a vastly inferior move. I played rook b7 with a different idea. So after bishop f4, knight a5, and this gave the opponent a very good game. He could first defend his second rank with rook h2, and then after knight d5 I had still some hope in the position that this might be a good position, supporting the c4 pawn. But really the opponent has a very good game now. After knight takes ed, e4, and the rest of the game started to be very unpleasant, because this is a very logical undermining of the c4 pawn, and the bishop, which hasn't moved, is perfectly okay on f1, helping white's cause. So that was the downhill point of the game. So let's go back to the critical position. So here, just taken here, and as I say, sometimes you have to fight to play the simple moves. You have to look at the variations carefully and conscientiously. Yeah, sure, rook takes b2, bishop takes c4 seems very dangerous, but if you can find the one critical resource which here stops the seemingly immediate disaster, which was bishop b5, so the one critical resource, bishop a3, then you've got in the simple positional effective move of rook b2. You've justified it, and you're showing the power of that rook on the 7th. This was an opportunity the opponent gave to me, and it was a missed opportunity by me. Yes, I was a bit under pressure. He played the surprise Trompovsky opening to get me in uncomfortable territory, but the resources were there. And that is the one thing I want to say with this video, that to strive for simple chess, outposts, rook on the 7th, central pieces. Simple chess is something great to strive for. And if that's the only lesson from this video, please take that away, because that's something I'm going to think about in my own games over the next few weeks and months. Thanks very much. Please leave any comments on YouTube.